Which teams are offering the most in NIL? He just put it out there. Who has the biggest bag out there? Who's tossing around the most cash? Here's what I want to do with this question instead. So as to not have a bunch of head coaches on the phone with me by the time I get off air. There are a lot of places. Look at the Logan's Roadhouse NIL deal there. Is that Bryce Young? Who is that? Whoever it is, they made the right decision. So there are a lot of places where you can get very lucrative NIL deals. I don't think we need to remind you how much you could get at a Miami or a USC. Bryce Young did quite well for himself this year. Here's the thing you need to know, okay? It's not so much the individuals and how much money they're making. That's all well and good. Here's the down low on how NIL is happening right now. It's not so much about our kids being paid. Well, of course they're being paid. It's legal. What I am interested in is not so much whether kids are being paid, how much they're being paid. When are they being paid? That's what's interesting about NIL. See, right now, there's some big arguments happening within the NIL space and within athletic departments and coaching staffs about how we should take this collective money. Now, of course, in reality, that shouldn't be decided by coaches. We understand we live in the real world. That's how it's happening. So the argument is not whether we should find ways to distribute this money. The argument is, who do we pay and when do we pay them? There's one school of thought out there that you take all the NIL resources you have and you buy your recruiting class. Seems pretty simple, right? It's not, because there are some other folks out there, and I think that there's some very, very big staffs that feel this way, that say, we're not paying a high school senior 6 figures who has never played a down for us. We're not doing it. What we will do is we will offer opportunity, and we will show him that the best players at our program end up making inordinate amounts of money, like ridiculous amounts of money, but they're going to prove themselves here first. And then that's where the money is going to get allocated. And also, here's the added bonus of the incentive the major program has. Look at the 40-year decision, not the 4-year decision. We offer you an opportunity to be developed by the best. You got disproportionately better odds at being a high-round draft pick here than you do if you go elsewhere. You choose. They put the ball in the kid's court. You choose. And there are some programs out there. Quite frankly, I think there's one in Columbus, Ohio right now that may very well miss out on a kid or two because they are not willing to pay big NIL money on the front end. I'm not saying that Ohio State's NIL approach is perfect. Quite frankly, administratively, I think they need to get out of their own way a bit because they could be doing a lot better in NIL there if you would fully leverage all the resources available to Ohio State. I think I'm making myself clear. But anyway, I don't think Ryan Day and his coaching staff or the Ohio State Brain Trust are tossing big money at high school kids at all. I don't think Georgia's doing it, despite what you've heard reported. I don't think that's how Alabama's operating either. I just mentioned 3 of the top programs in the country. I'm not telling you they're not paying kids. I'm not telling you there's not NIL money to be had there. What I am telling you is I think some of the big dogs, some of the established programs in this country are not paying unproven kids untold amounts of money. There may be rare exceptions. Quarterback, obviously, is chief among them. They're going to spend money on quarterbacks. They are not paying $800,000 to an offensive tackle. They're just not. They are not going to do it. And there may be another program out there that does do it, and you got a choice to make. Do you want to go somewhere where you get the immediate money, and it's questionable whether you'll get developed, or do you want to go to a place that has a long and established track record of developing your position, knowing that, number one, your NIL earnings potential is going to peak the moment you step on that campus, and especially the moment you play for that team. And number two, there's this other NIL thing. It's called the NFL. Those are the 3 letters you really need to be concerned about. And some of these programs may not offer you a great big NIL bag before you've played a down for them out of high school. But what they do offer is eventually some lucrative NIL opportunities and NFL opportunities. Now, someone's going to ignorantly come into comments and say, that's foolish. The NFL could find you anywhere. If you can play, the NFL will find you. I never said they wouldn't, friend. There's a big difference in being drafted in the 6th round and late in the 1st round. And the fact of the matter, and this is inarguable, is the program you go to has a very, very disproportionate impact sometimes on how draftable you end up being. Translation: if I am an offensive guard, there are certain programs out there I could go to and do everything in my power, take care of every bit of business on my end, and I still get underdeveloped. Whereas if I went to the school down the road, I put forth the same performance, they're just better at developing me, I just made life-changing money. Maybe school A was going to offer me 110 grand in NIL coming out of high school. Maybe school B said, suck it up and earn it. What was the right decision for me? So my point is, there is no wrong decision. It's your decision. I just think some of these programs are looking at it saying, we're not going to pay you that kind of money. And if they will, like I have had pretty reputable sources tell me, we have passed on kids who have told us their offers. Like I had a coach tell me flat out, I had a kid come to me and say he got offered X amount of money, and I had to tell him, if they're really offering you that, you need to take it. That's tough. You've invested 2 or 3 years in some cases in recruiting these kids. Here's the other thing that's just understood at this point, which I think will end up balancing out the whole NIL structure. As I've told you before, I think conferences will eventually get involved in this and the NIL game will be turned upside down. In the meantime, I think the transfer portal is going to very, very quickly adjust how the NIL game is played because if you do go to school B in the aforementioned scenario, you could just be telling yourself the whole time, I'm going to go there and get that freshman money and then I'll transfer to the place that's going to develop me better. Well, that leaves little incentive to front load your agreement, your contract, for lack of a better term, with school A. A lot of school A, school B there. My point is, there are some programs out there right now who are going to miss out on some high-profile kids come early signing day, national signing day. You're going to see it. It's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you. You will pretty well be able to guarantee what happened in that recruitment. I'm just saying, it's not that they couldn't afford them. It's that in principle, they refused to afford them. That is the game being played behind the scenes right now.
Thanks for watching, guys. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Make sure you like the video and please subscribe to the channel. Not just for me, that's how we keep this entire thing free.